Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah, Perez, Rahab, Ruth, David, Solomon, the kings, the fall, Zerubbabel, Joseph, then Jesus, the thread through it all. There's a thread that runs through time, through every sin and sacred sign, from dust to kings, from fire to flood, stitched in grace, it's sealed in blood. From Eden's cry to Mary's song, the thread of God still pulled along. It led to nails, it led to thorns, to save the lost, the King was born. The thread still runs through hearts today.
I'm going to focus on Matthew's record of genealogy, but we also have one in Luke. It's written slightly differently. Both of them are not complete records because, I mean, if we just went full bore Ancestry.com, the list would be several pages long. And so Luke gives us 77 names compared to about 42 names in Matthew. But what we have in Luke, it starts with Adam, and it goes down to Abraham and David, and then there's kind of a split. You've got Nathan and Solomon, and on Nathan's side, it traces down to Mary, and Solomon's traces down to Joseph. And so Luke has really given us the genealogy on Mary's side, Matthew on Joseph's side. But I want to tell you one of the coolest things that I've learned recently, because I'm going to be honest, probably most of you watching, you just kind of skim over Matthew chapter 1, right? Because that's just as much fun as watching paint dry or grass grow or something like that. It's a certain cure for insomnia, just to read off so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so begat so-and-so. Until I recognize that he says that I'm giving you a list from Abraham to David, 14 generations, and then from David to the deportation to Babylon, 14 generations, and then from the deportation of Babylon to Jesus the Christ, 14 generations. Now to you and I, that might be, well, that's cool. So it might make it easy to remember should you ever decide to memorize the entire list of 42 names in Matthew, just as kind of a cool party trick or something. But Jews recognized, 14, 14, 14 is 6 sevens. 7 was a very significant number in the Bible. And because when God created the world, there were 6 days of creation, and then he rested. And so Jews would recognize that we have 6 sevens rather. We have 6 sevens, and now the Messiah is here. So first century Jews would recognize that Matthew is telling them, you are in the generation of those who are welcoming the Messiah. The Messiah is here. The Messiah has been born, and this is the fulfillment of the prophecies. And so first you have the seventh 7. Also what you see in here, which is really cool, is, well, it's not so cool, is the honesty of these mothers that are called out. There's so many scandals in the bloodline of Jesus, and I believe one of the reasons we're told this is just to see the grace of God. And so there's 4 women that are mentioned in the bloodline of Jesus, and genealogies through the Jews, they're always listed by the fathers. But who do we have? We have Tamar, the mother of Perez, and Tamar she dressed as a prostitute, and basically there was incest, and that's how her son was born. And then you have Rahab, who is the mother of Boaz, and Rahab was a harlot who protected the spies that came to spy out Jericho, so Joshua could later defeat Jericho. But Rahab was also a harlot. She was a prostitute, but she's listed in the bloodline of Jesus. And then we have Ruth, who is a Moabite. She's a Gentile. And there are several others that are listed in this list of 42 names that were Gentiles. And again, so Matthew begins with their Gentiles, and he closes his book, Matthew 28, 19, and 20. Therefore, you go and make disciples of all the nations, including Gentiles. And then Uriah's wife, it doesn't even mention her name, Bathsheba. It mentions Uriah because David had Uriah killed. And so here was the king that Jesus traces, and he's called the son of David. And so he's legitimized to the Jews as the son of David. And so, but that came through Solomon, who was born to Uriah's wife. Uriah the Hittite, by the way, not a Jew. And Uriah was killed, and Bathsheba was the mother of Solomon, King Solomon. And so you have all of these scandals. And then one other thing that I want to mention, well, too, is that in this line, it also mentions Asa. And Asa was a king, but in the Greek, Matthew writes Asaph. And that's really just kind of a nod to the Psalms. One of the psalmists was Asaph. You have David, who writes many of the Psalms, the sons of Korah. There are others that, there were other authors of Psalms, but Asaph. And so that was kind of a nod to the Psalms. And then what is also mentioned is Ammon, but in the Greek it says Amos. And Amos, of course, is one of the prophets. And so you have the Psalms, the prophets, we have creation depicted because of the 6 sevens, and then even the patriarchs. And so we have Joseph, who is mentioned, the son of Judah, and then it concludes with Joseph, the son of, what's his father's name? Jacob. Both Josephs were dreamers. You had Joseph who dreamed that his brothers would bow down to him. And in Genesis, that concludes that what they intended for evil, God intended for good. And you have Joseph, who was also the son of Jacob, who dreamed dreams. And as a matter of fact, there are he dreams about the most dreams in the Bible. And so all of these little kind of Easter eggs are kind of hidden in this list that I used to just skim right over, but it's pretty significant that we have 14 generations that shows that the Psalms and the writings and the prophets and all of these things all point to Jesus, son of David.
It started with a man named Abraham, left his home for a promised land. Isaac came, then Jacob's tribe, 12 sons strong, the blood survived. Then Judah rose with fire and shame, through Tamar's pain still came the name. Perez and Hezron kept the line, even when the stars refused to shine. It's the line of the lion, the fire runs deep, through kings and killers and prophets who weep. From broken hearts and desperate cries, God built a throne that never dies. Through every name and in every scar, the line kept reaching for the morning star. It's not just blood, it's a battle cry. From dust to glory, the reason why. From Boaz born to Ruth's brave vow, a foreign bride in grace allowed. Then Jesse's son with a sling and stone, David danced, then broke the throne. Through Bathsheba, Solomon came a kingdom pride, then burned in shame. Rehoboam, then Abijah's flame, names that fell but still the same. It's the line of the lion, the fire runs deep, through kings and killers and prophets who weep. From broken hearts and desperate cries, God built a throne that never dies. Through every name and every scar. The line kept reaching for the morning star. It's not just blood, it's a battle cry. From dust to glory, the reason why. Exile came, the crown went dark, but Zerubbabel lit a spark. Then silence fell for years on end, but still the line refused to bend. Then Joseph stood with trembling grace beside a girl the world disgraced. But from that womb came heaven's sound, the King of Kings in swaddling bound. He's the Lion of Judah, the root, the flame. Every generation called his name. From Tamar's tears to David's fall, he carried mercy through it all. The bloodline led to Bethlehem, where God reached down to dwell with men. He is the end, the great I am, the Son of Man, the risen Lamb. So if you feel too lost, too far, remember who your fathers are. The line of grace, the line of fight, still leads to Jesus, still burns bright. The line of the lion roars tonight.